jingle. Hi, Scout.
Hey babe, how are
How
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing so lovely.
It looks
So
like you cut your
lovely.
hair.
No. No, I think I usually like have it really
Oh.
messy. So it's 3 days old.
Oh, okay. I took
I'm
a
not
shower before.
washing
I took a
I'm
shower
not
and
washing
washed
my
my
hair.
hair and blow dried it before I got on with you. And
Oh,
I
that's very
couldn't
sweet.
remember the last time I washed my hair. Is that
Yeah.
gross?
No,
Yeah,
it's not gross. It's good for your hair growth.
I
Like
know.
per every hairstylist and makeup artist that I've worked with. Don't wash your hair too much. Don't wash
It's
your hair too
true.
much.
It's
I also
true.
think that you and I are trying to get used to our short hair. And I think
Yes.
I finally have like melted into the confidence of like really digging it. I just
Yeah.
really love that it's low maintenance and I don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
mean,
true.
or if I do, it takes like 20 minutes instead of like 2 hours to get ready for an audition, you know?
Don't you
But
miss looking like prettier versus I don't know, I feel like longer hairs like got like
what are you
carries a
trying to say
different.
right now?
No, I'm saying like for me once I cut my hair, I was like, okay, I'm mom.
I
I'm in
feel
mom
hot.
mode.
I feel sexy. I feel like there's a confidence that I'm having to find within myself without hiding behind my luscious locks. I feel a little bit more older and sophisticated with my
Right.
short hair than I do with like my long hair. But I mean, obviously, yeah, there's like long hair. I think I think it's just like kind of like pushed into us with like all these models with like long hair and
You
like,
have to look pretty. I mean, maybe
yeah.
because I live in Texas now and I am a mom of kids and I am like I was at basketball practice last night and I just feel
Who's
like,
playing
uh-oh,
basketball?
they both are.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah. They love
I
it.
I sucked at that sport.
They
I
love it.
hate
And I don't
I
have
was
to
so
fucking sit
mad.
outside and freeze my
Oh,
ass off or cook
dude.
under the sun while they hit a ball.
Nar. I was so upset with my mother when she put me on the basketball team. And then I was like the one like I don't even know the positions, but in the middle that everybody was just like pushing and pushing
Oh, dude,
because I was so
Fucking
tiny.
Carter got chucked last night. I felt really
Yeah.
bad. He got hurt
Yeah.
twice. And
Yeah.
he's my little sensitive Pisces boy. He was hysterical. I was like, "Oh
Dude, he
God,
needs
don't
to
get
be
up.
in the
Don't get up."
water. He needs to be like what I did and us matching Pisces and same birthday. We need to be in the water, zen, and just flowing through the motions. You know what I'm saying?
He likes to be the one that helps assist passing the ball. He doesn't take a shot. He doesn't bump anybody. He just
Yeah, because he's
blocks.
terrified. He's
I
like, ha!
know.
He's like, ha! Just take this attention away from me. Here you go. Here's the ball. There's a
It
lot of
was hard.
psychological with how your
Yes.
child plays in a game
It
and
was
who they
hard
are
to
as a
see.
being.
I was seeing it from a mom's perspective of like, oh my God, he's so helpful. He
Oh,
doesn't
you're
need to be
funny.
the one to score. He's okay with the assist as long as it helps his team. Like that's where
Don't
I was
worry.
going.
Auntie Scout is here for the true feelings inside, Carter. Don't you worry. It's funny. No, but that's nice. That's a good way to look at it because it also will help him to like push himself a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, he was hurt. He's all bruised when he got home last night, and when he, was face first on the floor and then hysterical in the corner, I was like, I didn't want to get up. I had to fight myself, but I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be that mom. That's
Yeah.
like, let me go run to my crying child, because
Yeah.
before he had come over to me and gotten in my lap and was crying. So I was like, oh shit, now what do I do? So I just let the coaches handle it, and I was like, good, good, good. Okay,
Have
I
you
wasn't
noticed
that
that
mom.
that's like sort of like increasing with age?
What do you mean?
His emotions just kind of
Being
like
able to regulate him more easily?
no, just getting the better of him. You know, my parents
Yes.
described like my well, we're very, I mean, we're similar because we're Pisces and we're literally like the same birthday. So it's like my mother was like, it got kind of out of hand.
Uh-oh. What do you
But you're just trying
mean?
to feel things. Like there's so much emotion. There's so much to like unfold.
Why do you think your emotions got out of hand? That's
Not
an
got out of
odd thing
hand.
to
It's
say.
just like it's not sorry. That's well, at that time of my life,
That's how
that's
you
probably what
felt.
I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's you're obviously he's becoming a man. He's becoming, he's learning new things, but then there's just like I don't know, this inner emotion within this zodiac sign and hopefully our guest she's probably like I don't fucking believe in any zodiac signs, but you know, there's just like there's a lot in here. There's a lot, and it just is, you know, it's coming out with new things.
Speaking of, it's a really great segue, Scout. Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
got it.
So we have a guest today, you guys. We haven't had a guest on for a little bit. I think the last guest we had on that we aired, we cried, right?
Yeah.
Danielle, I think we cried, and this may happen again. Hopefully not. But my entire existence in this franchise, community, horror, career world that I've lived in for almost 40 years is completely because of my connection and my relationship with this woman who played my big sister Rachel Carruthers in Halloween 4. Everyone, I know you're probably shitting yourself right now because she never comes out of the woods or off the lake or wherever you are in your bed and breakfast or doing beautiful, wonderful things out of the spotlight. Everybody, welcome Ellie Cornell. Yay!
Hey, y'all.
Welcome.
Great to be here. Okay, I sucked at basketball too. That middle position, I think, is called middle, isn't it?
Is it? Is it just middle?
And I just had a thing, we're talking about kids, with my grandson who's
Oh
just
my
over
God.
2. And we wanted to leave this little animal park. He didn't want to leave, dug his feet in, his heels in, and really lost it, little mini tantrum. And instead of like forcing a solution, I just held him and kissed him all over and let him regulate his emotions. And it's like, as soon as he came off of that, we were buddies again and he got in the car happily. But I have to remember that grown-up transitions are much faster than young people's, really at any age. I expect a lot of, like, I'm ready to go. It's like, you've got to build in that extra time.
Yeah, it's hard to have that sort of, that sort of understanding with kids when you're in those positions.
And then
But it's
it
a good
becomes like
lesson for
the
yourself.
self-will, the contest of self-wills. And there's a great adage that says, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? And I'd rather be happy and do less in a day, than like my way or the highway. That just doesn't work anymore. But hey, y'all.
Hi.
Ellie, how long has it been since we've talked or I've seen you?
Well, wasn't it weird how many times we kind of crossed paths in LA? Like at these random times, like at a Lakers game?
Yeah, that's right.
And one time, I think you were with your manager on Melrose.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Or La Cienega.
Yeah.
But the Lakers thing, come on.
Yeah,
That was
I
like
know.
one out
That
of
was crazy. I was literally
million.
walking in as she was walking out.
Wow. Did you guys see each other?
Yeah.
Or you just,
But
wow.
yeah, I mean, we were just like, oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, it was crazy.
All right. So when did I see you last? It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I was
Did you read Dwight's book? We have so much.
I was just going to tell you. I was looking at it. So Dwight Little, the director of Halloween 4, and I just worked with him a couple of years ago as well on this movie called Natty Knocks. And he wrote a book called Still Rolling Inside the Hollywood Dream Factory. And I just got it. He just sent it to me because I saw that little thing that he talked about, like what states Halloween 4 won, like favorite Halloween movie. And so I wrote him and I was like, hey, fucker, where's my book? Like, you're supposed to send me a book like a year ago. And he's like, I'm sending it out to you tomorrow. And he did. And I started to dig through it because I'm so curious. This has been such a part of our lives. And I was so young, I'm just now able to absorb who you all are and were then, And he wrote to Danielle, my first and most important leading lady, my forever Jamie, with love, your pal Dwight. And he always talks about our relationship, the Jamie and Rachel relationship, and how he gauges the movies based on if they have that connection when he's watching them or he's working with them. What did you think of this?
Let me read you what he wrote to me.
Okay.
To my darling Ellie, my favorite and best actress I ever worked with. No, I'm just kidding.
Fucker. As I was reading this, I was like, I wonder if I'm going to, this is like probably not what I should say.
But okay, here's what I loved about Dwight's book is that we as actors, or I'll speak for myself, me as an actor, never get to hear the casting process.
Yes.
And boy, was my ego a little rattled that I
Okay,
wasn't
so
first
I wanna
choice.
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna
wait, go
read
into
this.
detail.
Okay, I'm
Whoever
gonna read it. Ready?
people that haven't read the book, A over here.
Okay, so I'm gonna read you a little passage because it's exactly what I found. What I started skimming through, and ironically enough, I just opened up the book, and this was the page that it landed on, and I thought that's fucking weird. And that's exactly what he was talking about is this part of it. So it says, it'll probably take about 3 minutes to read, guys. In Los Angeles, we read and read actors for the two sisters who were the heart and soul of the film. We'd be spending 90 minutes on screen with these two leads, and the casting had to be perfect. The actresses who came in for the older teenage sister Rachel were too glam. They all had this Valley LA knowingness. There was a million miles away from the sensible Midwest values of Haddonfield. There were the New York actresses, now based in LA, who were worldly beyond their years and tough, but not really empathetic. All the agents were sending sexy and hot, but no one seemed real. I expressed my frustration to Mustafa, and he suggested that I go to New York and look there. Here was a producer who wanted me to be happy and was willing to spend a little extra money. It was so empowering to have someone really behind you rather than trying to second guess and sabotage you. My esteem for him grew. In New York, we set up a session with the casting director after I'd explained what I was looking for. In addition to Rachel, we needed a young girl to play 6 or 7 years old and be completely believable for Jamie, the younger sister. At that age, most child actors have done a commercial or two, and they haven't done anything at all. They've been coached by agents and moms to be peppy and perky and winning, but it was all fake. But then, about the 10th person to come in was a young actress named Danielle Harris. Danielle was older than the character, but looked young enough. I knew when she walked in the room before she even spoke that she was the one. It's hard to say what that feeling is or where it comes from when you just know that the actor is right. Danielle was smart and sweet and had these great big movie eyes that the camera would just love. She was natural and pretty, and there was nothing forced or fake about her. I finished the session out of courtesy to the other actors, but I put Danielle on tape and told Mustafa that we'd found our Jamie Lloyd. Back in LA, we had come down to 2 choices for Rachel Carruthers, the older foster sister. Mustafa and his team liked one LA actress, and I liked the East Coast actress, Ellie Cornell. We were at a bit of a stalemate. Mustafa had been so supportive of me with Danielle that I didn't want to force him into something that he was not 100% with on board. I suggested a screen test, a proper 35mm screen test on a stage with lighting and hair and makeup, which I would direct with scenes from the script. Then we would project both actresses up onto a big screen and see if we could come to a joint decision. This would also cost money, but again, Mustafa agreed. I had Peter light the 2 actresses on a Hollywood stage, and I gave them both my full attention. I didn't want to be right or wrong. I just wanted what was best for the movie. The dailies were processed and put in sync, and we screened them in a fairly large screening room in Raleigh Studios. There was really no question after that. Ellie was natural and beautiful, and you just cared about her. She was pretty, but not like a model. Her eyes just drew you in. The other actress also did well, but I knew Ellie would work better with Danielle, and Mustafa agreed. Okay, so
Dang.
tell me about this, because obviously I never knew. I don't barely remember how I was cast.
Wait, just for the record, I really thought I was sexy, hot, and worldly. I guess I
Yeah.
had none of that.
You are.
You are.
Well, I thought it was normal. I went in on a Friday. McElroy was there. I thought a screen test was normal, so I wasn't freaked out by it. I knew I was getting close. And he had said, the writer said they really liked my vocal quality. So luckily, I didn't have any idea that it was down to 2 of us or that Dwight was fighting for me, Mustafa wasn't. I didn't know any of that. It was just a huge thrill. And to be honest, I didn't know that much about the Halloween series. I knew it was really famous, but and I think by Monday or Tuesday, I had gotten cast. It was really
Man.
no. It
So
was
you didn't even know that there was someone else being tested.
no, no. I just focused on Dwight, and I had nothing to compare it to. I was like you, Danielle. I mean, I was pretty green at that point. I'd
Yeah.
done a lot of acting, but mostly stage stuff. So I just focused on my, I didn't worry about the competition. There were a lot of other auditions where I would see people that I recognized, like from TV. We'd pass in the waiting room, things like that. But this was very kind of private and quiet. It was great. So I just could focus on the audition.
Man, it's so interesting, like testing and stuff. I mean, it's definitely different now.
Tell her your story, because she doesn't know.
Well,
So
I think just going for in general, just testing in general, I think, the many times that I tested for TV shows or movies, you would go in and you would sit in the room with like 5 to 6 different women reading for your role, and they would go in and read in front of the like room full of like 30 executive producers. And then they would have everybody do that. They would swap them with other actors. They would do a whole chemistry read. And then what would happen, they would literally tell 2 or 3 girls in
To
that
go
six
home.
to go home.
Mm.
And then they would proceed with the second half. It is so wild to
It's
me how
horrible.
things were so different, different, and how things that is tasteful to be done
Was
in
that
that
mostly
way.
television? Was that mostly television?
No, it was movies as
Mm.
well.
Mm.
I mean, with Rob Zombie's movie, I mean, it was kind of similar with what Dwight was saying. Like, the executives and the producers were giving him all of these like Hollywood actresses, and Rob was so determined to find a real kid. Like, this needed to be a real kid. We have to follow her story. We have to believe in her. And I was 17 at the time, and I didn't know what fucking, Halloween series was. I didn't know anything about it. And he fought for me, and it was coming in time after time after time, testing with Danielle and the other girl that was, and they were all older than me. So it was like it was like a battle. It was like 7 or 8 times before I got the call that I got the
What a
role.
great experience, though.
Well,
But
you've been
every experience is like that. It's
s-
wild.
so
It's
we're
wild.
Scout and I are directing a feature together in 1 month, and we are starring in
Amazing.
it. And it's crazy, but we have also been now on the other side as directors and producers. We've gotten to sort of see, okay, we kind of can't go with that person because they're not going to bring value for what they would cost. And oh, I didn't realize that. Or I'm not going to settle for this person because so and so wants that person to be, and because they don't really, I want this to be what we know it could be. And we've
Right.
had to kind of push back a little bit on some of the characters that are really important. Producers want to go one way and it just doesn't feel right for us. But Dwight has that thing, and I hope that we have that thing. And I'm curious about you, Ellie, being a producer. When you were on the other side of it, how often did you battle with directors on casting?
All I can say is I knew in milliseconds if someone was right for the role. And it's a great lesson because I remember this one time, this girl came in, she was darling. She looked like Julie Bowen, just, darling blonde. And she had these bright red pumps on. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting choice. She did her audition, which was fine. Right before she left, she couldn't help herself. She was like, I know you want these pumps. And it was like, what? It's just like, what I want to say to actors is like, just do the read. Keep it simple. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes we can shoot ourselves in our own foot.
That's
It like took me
interesting.
it took me out of the, I don't know, I can't explain it, but it was just too,
She became a person different than who the
kind
character
of, I
was,
can't
or
explain
who
it, but I was
I
like,
get it.
I don't know, there was something kind of weird about it, but
See,
That's so interesting that you say that,
yeah.
because it's funny because I have a hard time booking off of tape,
right.
which a lot of my bookings that I've gotten in my earlier careers are from being in the room and from being
1000%.
from my personality, kind of, it
Yep.
more than what my acting skills are. So
Yeah.
it's more of like I can work with you to morph into what I know that you want, but also like spin it into like who you're seeing in front of you and who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting that you say that. Because I have a really hard time booking off of tape
But
when I'm like, I need you to see my personality.
I have to say that the first national commercial I booked to get my SAG card, it was for Texaco, and it was me and models, just
Mm.
rooms full of models. It was in New York. And I remember there was some dialogue, and I screwed up my dialogue and completely like I made myself laugh. I love to laugh at my own jokes. And I busted out laughing, and I swear that's why I got the job.
Yeah.
It just like, it
Yeah.
took the air out of the room, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
But I was just telling someone how much I miss in-person auditions, because there's
Mhm.
nothing better than, as an actor, feeling your own power. Like if you have a chair in the room, that's your chair for those
Yes.
forever.
Yes. I'm
And you
like,
can,
I climb on that chair.
yes, 1000%. Like you can make choices and feel great about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not loving the on tape thing. I'm just not.
No. That's funny that you said that. I had a similar mess up for a TV show, Nashville, that was like a season long arc. And I
Ooh,
fumbled and I kind of did the similar thing where I actually fucking I cursed. I was like, fuck.
yeah.
And then I laughed at myself and then I just kept on going with like some ad libs, but I swear that was why I got it. So funny, those like little moments and little things. When we're doing self tapes, I mean, it almost feels like so rehearsed now. I can do it as many times as I want. I can look at it and dissect it as many times as I want. And I really hate it. It's like I really like working with people. So like when you got that opportunity with producers or the caster or the creator, they could go, "Hey, actually, can you just, adjust that?" Cool, I can play with you and go back and forth and work on it right now. I'll get like, there's a bunch of things this year that I've been pinned for, and they'll give a casting director will send back a note, very mediocre, and then I'll have to retape, and then they'll send back another no, and then I'll have to retape. I was like, this is not fun anymore.
It's a
Like
But
this
I
job.
is
heard this amazing
job.
thing the other day from a casting director about self-tape. She said actors spend way too much time prepping for them,
Hmm.
because we know in real life you don't have 3 hours to prep for anything, right?
Yeah.
But also, she said 50% of self-tape invitations do not get followed through. I mean,
Yep.
come on,
Yep.
actors, can you imagine?
I know.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
They already know. I mean, I've been told by several casting directors, they already know who they want, especially with like the day
Mm,
and age of things going now. They already
mm.
got who they want. They need
Backup.
backups.
Yeah.
Do you
I'm like,
guys read
I'm
for
wasting
American
my
Horror?
energy on this. Yes.
You guys should be both on that show.
Wouldn't we just had this so okay, after we finish, I'm going to send you the link for our episode last week, because
Okay.
this is
Yeah.
exactly what we talked about, was what happened to us.
Yeah.
Like where did, it was just like we don't quite understand our place in
Even like
this.
AMC Universe. I'm
I've
like,
never
so
done a
many of
show
our
on
friends have been on
sci-fi
Walking
or
Dead 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
nothing.
It's such a,
Nothing.
it's and not just that, but it's not like, I mean, from what I'm told, we're all like all really likable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It
Yes.
wasn't like, oh, thank God they killed her off. She was an a-hole. No, it's like there's all this fondness around
Right.
all of it. So it's like, hello. I don't know.
Do
And
you
I
know
was,
that I
it's always
have
such a
been
head scratcher.
do you know that
Mm.
I've been told, and I actually want to bring it up to this director, I've been told, and this is where I find out if my agent or my managers are actually telling me facts
Mm.
or they're just telling me things to just like move on. I've been told in a few projects that I've gone out for that I'm too experienced,
Oh
that
God.
I've done too much. And I'm like,
So they want to
I'm sorry,
discover
what?
somebody.
I'm sorry, what does that even mean? So, but I don't know if that's factual either. There was a movie I did a couple years ago, and it was in the genre, and those come very easy, for us. And I got to know the director really well. We became really, really great friends. And fast forward, we were at a dinner, and my team was like, "Yeah, we pitched you for this thing. You got it. It's gonna be great." And when I was having the conversation with him, he was like, "Man," he's like, "Your team pitched everybody but you." And then my
Oh.
wife brought your name up, and I was like, "Wait, she's with them? Let's ask them about her." But my team told me a different story.
Ooh.
Interesting.
So it's like, what do you believe? Who do you believe? What's going on? You can only just know how you feel, right?
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild.
How did your life change, Ellie, after Halloween 4? What was that? Because that was your first movie. I don't remember how much my life changed at that young age.
What was the immediate thing that happened, which was cool, is you know, it's so different now, but back in the day, it was like everyone read either the Hollywood Reporter or Variety.
Right.
So when Halloween 4 came out, I took out a big chunky ad, with my headshot, just thanking the producers and Mustafa and Dwight, thanks for casting me, right? Just as like a thank you note, but I ran an ad. And a company, according to the director, the casting person saw that ad and said, there's our next so-and-so. So they cast me. I got cast immediately into an ABC after school special with, you ready for this? With Sasha Jensen.
Shut up, really?
Wow.
Yeah, which was so weird. And it was Lyman Ward and Cindy Pickett. Anyway, so that was a direct result of Halloween 4. I don't know. I think I did a lot of projects with my ex-husband's company, which I really loved. It was hard for me to say no. If they said, hey, we've got a role in mind for you. I mean, I'm still the same way. It's very hard for me to say no to a project. If they want to cast me, I'm like, sure,
Right.
And so I think that kept me out of the mainstream for a long time, and that probably hurt me. But then the upside is that I got to be a stay-at-home mom and really, really there, because I had two of my best friends in LA. One is still my best friend. She's a full-time director, and one was running Fox Studio, and she had kids. And I was so cognizant as a working mother in LA. I just wanted to they did it beautifully, but it's hard to do it well, to do both, to really be a full-time actor. Like, we worked with Will McCormick, like seconds before he got Will and Grace. And he said when he was going into the soundstage for Will and Grace, he passed Candice Bergen, and she said, by the way, if this ends up being a hit, you'll go into that soundstage and come out 10 years later. And that really sticks with me. Like, it's great to think about landing some huge something, but it comes at a cost for me personally. But I read for some really cool stuff, and I just didn't get them, and that's okay too. Mostly movies, not so much episodic, but huge things in huge movies.
Do you remember what your first days on set were like?
At Halloween?
Yeah.
On Halloween 4?
Mm-hmm.
I was so struck by the fact that we were going to live in a hotel for a month.
Me
I
too.
just was.
so
I was like, this
excited
is
to order
so
room
awesome.
service.
Like, I'd get home and I'd take a hot bath, room service. And then I got
Yes.
to the end of that room service menu. I'd blown through everything. I'm like, this is kind of weird.
I always say when people ask me, like, what was your favorite part about doing Halloween, when you were a kid? And they expect me to have some great answer about my relationship with Donald Pleasance. And really, it was the fact that I could order French fries whenever I wanted. Like, that was the most exciting thing for me. And it's still
And I
one
love
of the
that you
most
guys
exciting
were
things.
there. I definitely took notice that Donald Pleasance was staying elsewhere.
Oh, was he?
I'm like, oh, okay.
University Park Hotel.
Yeah, but it was so, for me, the whole experience was so immersive. Like, I flew back to New York with Dwight after we wrapped. And I just remember thinking, I mean, I was 24, I guess, playing a teenager, so I was a little bit older, but I was like, that is probably the height of my life. That's how much fun I had. I just loved it. It was a great experience. And I feel like so much of it was how well we were treated. I mean, at one point, Dwight pulled me aside and he's like, I know you're loving that coffee and that burrito, but just know that camera sees everything.
I remember that.
It's like,
holy shit,
ow.
I remember that. Whoa, that just tripped me out.
But like, who says that? It was so there was something so paternal and loving, and I never forgot it. It was like I felt like I was really disciplined. There's always something more I can do that, like maybe not go out with the crew after hours, things like
Right.
that. It's like at the end of the day, we're still the ones that have to wake up and get out there, right?
It felt
Yeah.
like from between, well, I'll get to five
Coming
after.
from the man that Danielle describes, the first, like the smell that she remembers from him is bourbon.
No, that was no, not the
Oh, okay.
director. Oh
Sorry.
no, no,
Sorry.
no. You're talking about. I smell. What I remember of Donald Pleasance is him smelling like bourbon.
Mm,
Dwight, I love. I mean, you met Dwight briefly, Scout, at the premiere for
for a
Natty
second,
Knox.
for a
Yeah,
very
brief
second.
second.
Yeah, very
But he
second.
just has this like, he's what I remember or what I always think directors are. Like he is what
That's
I like.
very
He
well
is
said.
a director. He is the
Yes.
director in my mind. When I think of director, it's him and a few of the other studio directors that I've worked with. And he was exactly the same when I did his last movie, and I was playing a mom in his movie, and he kept going like, I can't believe Jamie's a mom. Like couldn't get it out of his head. He was so tripped out, And I just absolutely love him. And I think if he didn't give us that experience, I don't know if I would have wanted to stay and do it, because it just set the
1000%.
tone for what I felt I could feel. And I came off a soap opera, and there was no director, no one worked with us. We had someone in a room trying to help me learn my lines. And then we would go on stage and you do one take. And I was like, whew, I'm glad I remembered that. And then I'd go to school. So there wasn't any of that. But I have a question. I have a couple questions. Did you think Sasha was cute in real life? I'm always wondering, like, were you like, oh, he's so cute, yay, I get to be his girlfriend? Or like, what did you think of Sasha when you guys first saw, or when you first saw him as a
I liked
girl?
Sasha because of the twinkle in his eye. Like his
Mm,
personality, I think was and still is. I mean, he is who he is, but it's like his character in Dazed and Confused. There's just something so sweet and lovable about him.
yeah, he's very, I feel like everyone that was in that movie was very close energetically to who they were playing. I
Right.
believed everyone, and they still are. We all still know each other, even if I don't see you for a few years. We've all kept in touch, and it's been
But same with
30.
like Kathleen.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
hmm I love Kathleen.
Kathleen told me that she was pregnant on stage in acting class in my ear. Like crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And my kids have been riding horses with her. I still talk to her all the time. It's like, there's such a love. And I don't know if it's because of that very first movie experience. I mean, Scout, do you have that like from your first movie, essentially? I mean, aside
Yeah.
from our Halloween
Hi,
movie.
look at you. Hi.
Well, yeah, but we weren't our first. Yeah, it's
Hi.
true. I know, it's true.
Tyler was at my
Yeah.
wedding.
Yeah, he
He
married you.
married
Yeah.
me. Yeah, like
Wow.
I definitely have that.
So
I
what
get
is it? Is
it's really nice to well, I think, those sort of movies, like it's those big movies that like change your career and who you are as a person, I
mm,
think is what like
it's
where
that
those
movie.
relationships like stick, you know?
What
I
else
think at
did
least for
you
me.
what else did you take from Dwight's book? I haven't finished it, so I'm planning on doing it this weekend. Is there anything else in there that you found interesting about the style of the way he shoots or any of that stuff? Because I was starting to dig into that a little bit.
Um, Dwight.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. How he's such a renegade in terms of what he has had to come up with, like the problem solving, um, just the circuitous journey he's had as a director. I wish I'd read that before we even started. Like I knew he was good, but he's really impressive.
What I have memories of, there are a few things that I have specific memories of. One of them is all of the roof stuff that we
Yep.
did. My recollection of it was that it was freezing, that
Yep.
the slate roof tiles were frozen over with a little bit of ice, and you were wearing penny loafers with a wood bottom, and I was on your back with not strapped to anything but holding onto you like a monkey, and we were like 2 stories or 3 stories high. When
Yep.
I didn't quite understand, if it's a fake roof, why was it so high? And I also remember there was really nothing around us if we had fallen except for boxes and some mattresses. Am I making this up, or did this actually happen?
That 1000% happened. The only thing I don't really remember was the ice per se, but it definitely
Mm.
could have been. It was freezing. I never understood why that roof was safer than an actual roof. I don't know the answer to that. But and you know as well as I do that, somehow it got out in the press that I had gotten badly cut
Yeah.
on the stomach. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like a surface wound. It
Yeah.
wasn't anything.
But I remember you in your crop top sweater and sliding down and cutting and coming up and you having a cut on your stomach.
Did you have multiple wardrobes? I had one.
I don't think so. I think
Really?
I had one.
I think I pretty much had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One,
Wow.
maybe two. I remember not liking the overalls because I felt like my butt looked big.
Okay, wait, just to loop back. I loved in Dwight's book how he said, I think, did he call the movie eyes for you?
Yes. Big eyes that the screen
That the
would
camera
love or
loved.
camera loves.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is just, you can't get much better than that.
What was my I asked Dwight this too, like how did you get me there? Like what was going on? What happened on set, or how was he able to tap into, or you tap into getting that, all of that, which felt very real to me. Even watching it as an adult, it's hard for me to look back and go like, damn, I knew what I was going through in my real life, but I don't know how much of that was necessarily presented on to everybody, if I was talking about things at home or talking about my dad, or I don't know really where I was at that time, but I know that that had to be what was inside that was trying to come out. Do you have any remembrance of any of those moments between us?
I just remember the way I would get sad is there was a song I could play
Mm.
um, between scenes, and it really tapped into sadness. It's a Linda Ronstadt song. I mean,
Mm.
I think, we all prepare differently, but what's always stuck with me, and thank goodness it works, is I don't draw on my own experience. I draw on my imagination. Does that make sense? Like even Dwight's like, I don't know where you got that. And I was like, because I imagined what it would be like. And if it wasn't enough, and he'd say, turn it up, higher stakes, like with
Mm.
the extinguisher in the school. It's like I think we all have that power in us, if it's like, kill or be killed.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm assuming for me as a kid, it felt so good because I had had all of that inside, and I don't think I was capable of expressing anything that I was feeling or going through. My dad had died 2 years before we were working, so I
Holy
think.
Moses.
I mean, I didn't know if you knew that or not, if that had come up on set, if that was talked about and tapped into, or my dad had died, and the way that I would get to be emotional was I would think about my dad in the car accident that he died in.
Holy
And
Moses.
so but I couldn't do that outside of what we were doing. It's like I would
Right.
have to, what would make me sad? What would make me sad? It's like, oh, well, that makes me sad. I didn't have anything else at that
Right.
stage in my life I couldn't imagine anything. I think in my imagination that was more traumatizing than that was, without even knowing what it was and why I was accessing it or how I was getting to it.
But that's asking so much of a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
It really
weird, but
is.
nobody asked it of me except for myself, I think.
Yeah.
My mom, as much as she drove me crazy, like my mom was not a stage mom as that I remember. She always kind of, listen, back then in the 80s, like she loved to party. She loved a good hotel room, beer and cigarettes after we get off work. And I look at pictures sometimes and I'm like, dude, I can't believe we were all like partying with me. I was fucking 11 years old, And
Yeah.
it got worse in Halloween 5. I mean, Halloween 4 seemed like 6th grade. And Halloween 5 was like I was in college. Like it had turned up in 1 year so much. I went from watching Nick at Night at 8 in the morning to go to sleep while after eating French fries and eggs being delivered to, when working nights, to the next year sneaking into the, that room up on there was like a main room on the floor we were all staying where you'd go in with your key and you'd get snacks and they'd have hot appetizers before we go to work and you'd have your soda and your drink and there was alcohol there. I would go in the mornings and I would, when it was closed, nobody was there yet, and I would stick my arm through, there was like a cabinet that was locked and it had all the alcohol in it, little bottles of alcohol. And I would go in and I was the one that could stick my hand in and get the bottles out for everybody. So I would go in and steal the bottles of alcohol and bring them to my room and everybody would be partying in my room.
Did you know that this was happening?
Well, she didn't. Well, Ellie, let's talk about it. When Ellie
First
came
of all, I
back,
want to ask Danielle aside, what was it like? Was it difficult working with a kid?
No, but I was, again, very cognizant. I think we all were.
you guys took much better care of me in protecting me and keeping me a child than any movie did ever after that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Only one other movie in my career did that.
I was very protective of you and I was very protective of myself. Like there was one time, I don't know, well, no, you were way too young, but there was one time I was sitting in a car. I don't know if I was getting warm, but there was someone from the set. I'm not going to name him. It wasn't Mustafa and it wasn't Dwight. And he was like a little bit flirty. And I shut that thing down.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily I don't go for those roles. So it's not like I have to fend off men on every time I work. I don't. But I don't know. I just took it very seriously. I really did. For the amount of fun we had, I really felt you and I, it was on our freaking shoulders. All those people setting up and dressing us. And it was a great lesson in being kind to everybody at every level, even the drivers. Those guys have families to support. And that's a great lesson to take out into the world, no matter what job you're in. Like, don't be an a-hole to anybody because they dress you, they drive you, they feed you,
Yeah. They take care of you.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time on the podcast.
And even in line for craft services.
Yeah. I can't cut. I'm like, I'm fine. Why do I need to eat before you? You got here half an hour before me. Like we've all worked as equally as hard,
Yeah. And you guys are not getting paid anywhere near what actors are getting paid.
Well, it depends. If you're working on our movie.
I think about that all the time.
Okay, question for Danielle.
Yes.
What did you think about the script for Halloween 5 when it got there?
I guess I just never, I was excited that I didn't have to remember lines. That's what I remember thinking. That I was going to be mute. And then I was also upset. I do remember being upset at how you were going to die. And I remember when you got to set, there being, you not be feeling the same to me as you were before.
Yeah.
Like there was something about you that just seemed
like only part of me was there.
Only part of you was there. You weren't as accessible. You were more guarded and protected for the second one. And
but the directors were so vastly different.
Oh my God, yes. Dominique was French and eccentric, and I remember that was the first time I ever smelled patchouli and like very, where Dwight was so comforting and calming to my energy, and it was the opposite. I was the opposite with Dominique. I just felt like it was like balls to the wall. Like, let's throw her in the woods and make her run in front of the car.
Are you guys directing a film together or producing it?
We are directing and starring in.
Okay. So a great lesson.
I was just thinking this.
A great lesson that I learned from the Rachel Carruthers character or any character, let there be a possibility that they could have survived. Because once they're dead, they're dead. So I don't know what your script is like, but just
yeah.
That's interesting.
I know. I'm
I
like,
I was thinking, and I've been thinking about it as we're getting closer to like the start date of, Danielle and I are friends and we're very close, but directing something together is, it's like going to be challenging. But I think that that's why at least for me, why I'm being so overly prepared with going over things with her, just because
Like,
like
have
I
you
want to
storyboarded it and all that stuff? You got all your
I want to
locations?
be on the same page as much as we can so that there's no conflict when we're on set with anything. It's just like we know what's going on, we know what's happening, because you don't that's hard to have two people running a ship. Like you don't, that's very, very hard. And it's not really done unless you're like married or sisters or brothers, you don't really see two
All
friends
right, I
just
have a
directed a
question for
movie.
you guys. How do you feel as directors when an actor comes in and um they're not word perfect on their script?
I'm fine with it.
Totally great.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's us all the time. I
We're
almost
like,
prefer
oh,
that.
yeah, I know.
I'm almost
Even,
like, what do you guys want to do with
yeah,
this?
when we're
Because I
working, we're
know that
rewriting.
there's more
We're,
stuff that you guys can figure out.
yeah, I just trust them with their character. Have fun with it. Be
Yeah.
authentic in what you're saying. If it doesn't sound like you, then I want you to say it like you.
I think that's what's so great with Danielle and I, and with like especially casting is like huge for me. It's like, when there's someone that I'm like, Danielle, trust me. I know what this person is capable of doing.
Oh
They're
yeah.
gonna bring a layer to this, and the vice versa with her. She's like, trust me with
Yeah.
this role, So it's like we now have we have cast members that are pros like us that we just know that they're going to
Kill it.
kill it and bring something so much more than what, the idea that I came up with. So it's like this is gonna be so much bigger.
Oh
And
yeah.
we're in it too. So it's
I
But
mean,
it,
I
gonna
feel
be a
like
good play
we
exercise.
we trust each other, or I could speak for myself, trust her so much. And I've seen her. She directed me in a feature recently, as well as we've been on, working together, just doing our show for the last couple of years as well. So we know how each other works. And I said before we started it, like, listen, I don't love having to worry about things in the middle of production. That's not what I like. I like pre and post. I like all of the story stuff, the creative stuff, dialogue stuff, like all of those things. But I think I'm usually very A type and overdo everything or overthink everything. And Scout has actually trumped me now on this, which is great because I've learned a lot about myself, which is just let it go. Let it happen. Trust her as much as I would trust myself. I don't need to prove a point. I don't need to fight about unless I really feel like listen to me. This will work. I talked about my attorney at one point when I was working with another producer friend on something. He said if you ever get into a conflict, flip a coin. It's a lot cheaper than hiring a lawyer. Just flip a coin if you can't agree. And I was like, that's such a great idea because it's so easy because it takes the whole drama out of it. But I don't have any doubt that we will work well together. And
I think this shoot's gonna be so fast and there's gonna be
oh yeah,
so much going on that we're just gonna be like, yep, this works. Does it work
is
for
it good?
you,
Is it
Danielle?
good? Okay,
Great,
yeah, sure,
let's
it's
go.
fine. Let's do it.
it's good. My only producing advice would be figure out, and maybe you have, like, who's going to be the fixer. In other words, we've had situations where we go to shoot and there's a truck way, way down there in downtown LA that is having to pour concrete. So someone's got to go down there and tell them to work, stop.
Yeah, the producer,
Or
Amy.
one night we were way out in the valley and it was freezing and our cast and crew were freezing. So we went to Target and bought coats for everyone.
Yeah.
It's the fun. I think it's the fun part of producing, but it's problem solving.
Scout's really good with, I mean, even, which I never thought that it would be this way after, knowing you before I really knew you. When we go to a convention, we want guests on our show. I'm scared to go up to people. I don't want to go up to anybody unless I really know them well and ask them to be on our show. Scout's like, who's that person? Oh, Ron Perlman. Oh, well, I'm going to go introduce myself and see if he wants to be on our show. And I'm like, are you kidding? Wait. But if we have him, like, we need like time to prep for, I really want to like dig into his career. I don't want to. And she's like, fuck it. I'll just go up and introduce myself. What's the worst that he could say? No. And she's
Yeah.
like, he's great. He says he'll come on the show, or whoever it may be, you know? And I'm like, holy shit. I don't, and you know, we're 12, Scout and I are 12 years apart from one another. So I've always sort of saw her as like, you know, baby sister, younger. And I'm like, now I've sort of taken a step back, and I don't know if it's because I'm older and kind of don't know if I have the energy to do things that I don't really feel comfortable doing anymore. You know, like I don't want to force myself into a situation that I'm not actually comfortable in doing, even though I'm supposed to be. And she doesn't give a fuck. She's fine. Just like, yeah, I'll go up. I'll do anything. I don't know who anybody is anyway. So it kind of, whatever we have going on works really well. We can't quite name it, but we're cut from the same cloth.
I think it's like you have to think of, you know, when you say that you see like a lot of yourself in me at my age, I'm just like transitioning, man. Like I'm just like getting to that point in my life where I I don't want to be afraid. I know my worth, and I want to be surrounded by people that see that.
Yeah.
So why should I
Brilliant.
be afraid to go up to that person and be like, "Hi, I admire your work. I would love to interview you or work with you or direct you one day," which is where the conversation went with Ron Perlman. It's like that person can respond in a negative or in a positive. And it's like, are you going to be in my world or are you not going to be in my world?
Oh no, you both froze. Oh no.
Really? Did we
Oh,
freeze?
there you go. Okay, you're back.
Oh, okay.
Oh
But
God.
also, I feel like from our experiences or anyone's experiences, the more we share it, like by doing interviews and podcasts and stuff, I feel like it's in a weird way, it's like being of service. Like, how else are you going to know what
Yeah.
it's like? You know, I think interviews are great fun because I think people honestly want to know
Mm-hmm.
what it's like.
Why don't you do conventions with us, Ellie? Do you know how many people come up to me and say, "Oh my God, what I would do to meet Ellie Cornell,"
Okay,
or "Oh,
okay, reach out next time. I'd consider
really?
if you guys are there, I'd do it for sure.
Oh God, okay, that would be so great."
But what do you
Okay, I
guys
already
think? Do you
know.
think
I already know of
actors?
one. I know of one,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna call you, and we're gonna do our. Well, there's two. I would love for you to come to both. There's two that
Okay,
I'm gonna tell you to come to this coming up year in 2025,
okay,
and they are big shows, and we love them, and we do our podcast live there, and I think it would be such a treat
okay,
for people to see us, all three of us, on stage
yeah,
together.
okay, that'd be really fun. Do you guys think actors like to be approached in real life? Like when people see you and recognize you, do you appreciate it when they say, "Wait, wow," you know? Do you like that,
I
or do you think it's
I
weird?
definitely want to get better at that. Because I sort of
Shy away
just
from
like,
it?
yeah, I'm like, probably not me. It's not me. It's definitely, yeah. I turn into like, "Ugh," like this, but I think it's I need to be how I am when I approach someone that I admire, like I like to take that in and be like, yeah, I have had a really cool career and I am proud of what I've done and I am proud of all these things that I've accomplished. So someone coming to me and showing, their positivity towards that, I think I should let it like sit with me a little bit more and like soak that in as like a
I have,
pride moment
yeah.
rather than a like
We talked about this recently too. I feel two ways about it. The first way was, I don't think I told you the Scout, where I forget where we just were. We were somewhere, Baltimore, and I was sitting at the bar having soup and probably cocktail before the flight, and I think you were on another terminal, and
soup and a cocktail.
sip at a cocktail.
Hey.
But you know why? Because I couldn't get a seat at the table. I had to sit at the bar, and they were like, if you sit at the bar, you have to order, you're going to order a drink. And I was like, fuck it, sure, I'll order a drink. And the guy was so nice. And I always feel really good after a show, and I've done well, find success. The show's been successful. And I'm always like, God, I want to like give this person who's busting their ass at the fucking airport bar. Like if I could just like, I don't know, like make your day or whatever. So I was just thinking about that, watching the game. And this guy was so nice. And then he slipped me a piece of paper. He didn't say anything to me. He slipped me a piece of paper, and I turned it over, and it said, "My sister is the biggest Halloween 4 fan."
Oh,
Oh.
And so he came back over, but he didn't want anyone, he didn't want to tell me because everybody was around. And I thought, oh my God. So he came over and he's like, no, seriously, she would die. And I said, call her. He was like, you're kidding. I go, call her right now. So he's like, oh my God. And I go, no, FaceTime her. So he's FaceTiming her. She didn't pick up the phone. I'm like, that's okay. Call her back and I'll leave her a message. And I left her a message. And then I wrote on the back of the receipt, like, thanks for being a fan. And I signed it and gave it to him. And I thought that is like, I love the way that went down. It made me feel so good. The other flip side of it is, I had some friends over for Halloween, and one of my neighbors, and I just moved to this neighborhood 2.5 years ago. So I've got, they're newer friends, and I'm in Austin. They're not in the business. They don't know anything about Hollywood. So it's very exciting for them. So they came over. We were watching a little bit of Halloween 4, and just enough for my kids to be like, okay, time to go inside. And my friend wanted to know, like, oh my God, how did you get started in this? Like, did you want to do it? Like, did you always want to be an actress? And I didn't want to talk about it with her, because I felt like we're in my home, in my yard, my kids are around. I felt like, oh no, you don't know me like that. I don't want that to be part of our relationship, because now I'm on a stage at a panel, and I'm giving you the experience you want, and I'm not being authentic in how I feel about being uncomfortable in this. But if I say, I don't really want to talk about that right now with you, like, then I'm a bitch, or I'm rude, or I'm unappreciative. So it's a very slippery slope. Same with conventions. Everybody comes up to you, and it's like, I almost, when someone cries and they're like, "You're my childhood," it's so overwhelmingly beautiful. At the same time, albeit a little bit uncomfortable, because I don't have anybody in my life that I would be like, oh my God. I mean, that's not true. I'm sure there are people that I've watched growing up on television that I'd be like, holy shit. But I don't know. It depends on the situation. How do you feel about it?
I'm asking because I saw a couple weeks ago a really famous actor in this really small grocery store. And it's like, I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, wow, what? And it was like, it was him. And he's so big. And I wasn't starstruck, but I just wanted to say, I love your work. And it's just such an honor to even have you here, and I didn't, and I was kind of kicking myself. But what cracks me up at conventions is it'll say, in a nice way, please don't touch, or, like hugs, or,
Right.
it's like you have to have a handler there, because all people want to do is hug. It's just interesting to me.
I mean, I definitely get a lot of that because I was a kid.
Yes.
And because I'm still tiny, they have this connection to this child that they want to take care of. So they want to hug me.
True.
They also, one thing that I get every once in a while that I find a little bit odd, and I used to allow it to happen many years ago. Now I'm like, I have to make a joke about it. People want to pick me up.
Really?
They want to take
No.
pictures. They want to pick me up like a babe, like a child. It's okay if I pick you up, like in photo op. I'm like, it is not okay that you pick me up. And then I thought, would you say that to that woman over there? Like, I am a 47-year-old woman. Would you say that to Shawnee Smith? Or are you only saying it to me because you still see me as this helpless child that you wanted to protect? It's very interesting. And also, I think, I've wondered where the fandom obsession with my character came from, and I only realized it when I got older, and considering that all the fans that come up to us and meet us are my age. And I think it is, and I've said this in the show before, because the first horror movie that you see really impacts you, makes you feel something you've never felt. And if you happen to be right around the age that I was when you snuck and saw it on your mom's TV or your dad's TV, or because you weren't going to theaters, you were getting up late at night when it was on HBO, and you were catching it when you weren't supposed to be, or you happen to have a cool mom and dad that wanted to show it to you because they were a fan and it was like a thing in your house, but it was a thing that you always did, and it makes you think of your family, and it makes you think of growing up and childhood and all of that stuff. And I think that there's this like forever connection between us, because Jamie and these, we all grew up together essentially, and they watched over the years. And it's a really interesting sort of thing to experience or feel. I mean, I make a joke sometimes. Like, someone came up to me once and said, "Oh, this is Jamie about their daughter." And I was like, "Oh," she's like, "I named her after you." And trying to get out of the uncomfortableness of her crying over that, I said, you do know that Jamie like stabs her mother at the end of the movie, right? Like maybe you should have picked a different name, just to kind of break the ice because it was a little bit intense for me. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, I think that's, you know, that's the connection that fans have to that particular movie.
But I think it's a good point. The, you know, when it's out of context, like sometimes people will find me somehow circuitously and go there. And I'm like, okay, but I'm this now. Like this is who I am. And you know, it's like I have to compartmentalize it. If I'm at a convention, that's a different animal.
Right.
But I think in my personal life, I mean, I had someone get really mad that I wouldn't respond in the way that they wanted me to respond to. And they were, they had, well, I'm not going to say in case they're listening, but some, I don't know, some health issues. And they played that card. And it's like, okay, but don't get mad at me. You know, I'm just a person trying to do the best I can. You know, it's just, I don't know, it's funny. I just
there's a level of expectation for the experience that they want when they are spending their money on that time with you. And I always say that the autographed picture is the receipt for the time they got to spend with you. And it really is about connecting. But sometimes they're not saying anything, or sometimes you're just not there. I mean, we all show up to these shows ready to work. It is a job. I am accessible and open and there and ready to be an actress, the one that you've always wanted to come and see, everything you've ever imagined. So, you know, it's hard to, you know, to, I mean, I don't know, Scout was a kid actor too. It's hard to allow yourself to be authentic in your feelings when you're in those situations. You know, you can't be uncomfortable. You can't be like, oh, you're disgusting and sweaty. Please don't rub your sweaty armpit on me. Oh, God, no, I don't want to hug you. You smell like you shit your pants. Like there's, you know, but you have to still, I love it. Listen, there's a lot of people at these shows. Someone's bound to have that happen, right? You guess? I mean, I'm assuming. But there's it's an interesting yet like fulfilling sort of thing at the same time, something that I think only we could understand. And now that we go to shows and we see like, you know, big stars, I'm wondering how they're like Alec Baldwin was just signing at the show we were at, and Gina Davis was supposed to be there, and they were signing together, and then she ended up not being able to come because there was a snowstorm in Mexico City or wherever she's from. But I thought, fucking Alec Baldwin is here at Monster Mania signing. Like, I wonder what that's like. I wonder if anyone's asking him about, you know, about stuff they shouldn't be asking him about. Like, I wonder how he's handling, because then he's a movie star, you know, he's on a different level. Even though the fans don't necessarily think of us any less in their eyes, it's still like, what the fuck are you doing here? You know? What do you think?
We're all human beings. We're all people. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's me. That's me at cons.
Just be nice to everybody.
Going and talking to Julia Lewis and Rob
I
Perlman.
know.
I'm just like, hey, what's up, guys? What are you working on? Oh, cool. We're working on an indie horror movie. What I remember when I said to Julia, I said, Juliet, I'm gonna direct you one day. Like, I'm going to direct you. And I think she was like, okay, come take a picture with me. I was like, okay, I'll direct Rob Perlman before I direct you.
I fucking sat in the green room with Juliette Lewis behind me. It was Juliette Lewis, Ron Perlman, and Billy Zane all having a conversation, and I wouldn't turn around because I was too embarrassed to want to be in that conversation. I was like, I'm just gonna hide here. I wish I was
there. I would have pivoted your chair so fast, and I would have pushed us into that corner.
And you know, the funny thing is, I worked with Billy, so like I don't know, like I don't know if he remembers me. I don't want to be that like, we did a movie together 12 years ago, you know. So I'm just like, I'll just hide in my corner because they probably don't know. Only every once in a blue moon when a bigger actor goes, I loved you in this, or I was a fan of this, you're like, holy shit, you know me? Like, oh my God, you know my work too? That's so cool. Now I feel like it's okay if I tell you that I love you. But until you didn't think of me as an equal, I'm going to kind of just hide in my corner.
No, you're a shiny toy. Everybody's a shiny toy. We're all just shiny toys. Just trying to make it through life, man. That's it.
Didn't Quentin Tarantino like our movie?
Oh my God. You know, I watched it with him. I
So
literally
cool.
watched Halloween 4 with Quentin Tarantino at his house.
That is
I
so
sat there
cool.
and he was like, I cannot believe I'm watching Halloween 4 with Danielle Harris. And I just thought, I cannot believe I'm in fucking Quentin Tarantino's house right now. Like, this is just blowing my mind that we're ordering pizza and you've got Inglorious Bastards script that you're with your handwritten script sitting on your fucking island in your kitchen. And we're just drinking margaritas and smoking cigarettes and chilling, talking about his mom, talking about his life, talking about his childhood. Like, so great to have that. You know, when I went out with him to have lunch one time, there were people that were trying to hand him scripts. We were on like Bedford or something in Beverly Hills, and we were walking around, and people were just harassing him, trying to literally hand him manuscripts. And he was so mad. And he was like, Can you see that I'm with my friend? Like, I'm with my friend. We're just trying to talk and we're trying to have lunch. And you know what? So I thought, oh God, but that person's like, oh my God, you know, and Quentin Tarantino, like, I have this one shot. I'm just gonna go for it. So there's, you know, I understand both sides of it, but yeah, Quentin, yeah, he loves Halloween 4. Everybody loves Halloween 4. When you came back for Halloween 5, what was your conversation with Mustafa about them killing off Rachel so quickly and how you died? So in the original script, if people that don't know that are listening, how did Rachel get killed in the original script?
She got scissors down her throat, which felt way too phallic and just not. But I'm such a rule follower. Like, I knew when I got this, I knew there'd be a script because I lived through 4. The script arrives and you start flipping.
Yeah.
When do I stop saying the Rachel name? And I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty at the beginning. I didn't question it. I could have said no, but I said, when do you need me? Again, it's like I tried to be as professional as possible, but I did say change the end. But Mustafa, I think you were with me at a convention, Danielle. But at one point, he did say he regretted killing her off because he didn't know she'd be likable.
Right. They made that movie too fast, too quickly after Halloween 4.
Yeah.
It
Did you
needed to
speak at the
sit.
funeral?
I did not. I used to. I didn't even know when it was.
Yeah.
I don't think I was. I don't even know if I was in. Yeah, I was in LA. No, we had a little when Halloween 6 came up, and we didn't see eye to eye on stuff, and
Wait, I have so many questions.
Go ask me.
Have you met Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Scout and I met her together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We went to the premiere. Malik,
Yeah.
Mustafa sent Malik invited Scout and I to come to the premiere of Halloween Ends, and we went to the premiere, and it was very uncomfortable and weird, and we were in a place where I think we always feel the safest. I felt like a visitor, like an unwanted visitor in that space. It was no longer our beautiful Halloween franchise. It was something completely different that we were not a part of.
Yep.
And the reason why we went is because we wanted to meet her.
That was the only reason we wanted
I flew in.
go.
I flew myself in and bought a dress, and I was like, I just want to take a picture with her on the carpet.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell her
that.
how much I've loved her since my girl. Like, I grew up in a mortuary, so like that was like my Bible. It's like I grew up watching all of her movies.
When she showed up, we were quickly told to get away, get off the carpet, get out, go sit down, and we were like, oh, okay. I guess that's not gonna. Oh well, there goes my idea of pictures on the carpet then. And then we went to the after party with some of our other horror genre friends, Heather Langenkamp and.
Oh yeah,
and
she's great.
I love
We
Heather.
love Heather. She's going to be in our movie.
Oh,
Okay.
Scout.
Oh,
We haven't
take this
announced
out.
it yet.
We can take this out.
That's okay. Teaser. We'll keep that teaser in there.
She's a sweetheart.
We went. Love her. We went we wanted to be introduced to her, and Malik had said he would try, but he was nowhere to be found. He was off doing his thing. And then we asked some of the guys from Blumhouse if he would bring us up there, and he was like, I don't know. And there was a line of people for a minute taking pictures with her, and it was like, and Brandon,
it was her goodbye. It was her goodbye. Of course, it's like a big moment.
And there were some who was the one? There was like another actress that was there, but like there were other actresses and
Ruby
people
Rose.
that weren't. Yeah, Ruby Rose. Like, so I was like, oh, well, she's talking to everybody. And we went up, and she, I think she was just tired and done. And we took a picture together, and that was kind of she didn't know who we were, or what our part was, and wasn't interested because she doesn't watch these movies. Yeah. And so we talked about how upset, because Scout was crying and I was upset, and we were just really
disappointed.
Crying.
You were. I just am emotional. So when I had that encounter,
it was a lot.
I just turned around and I just was like, I can feel it coming up, but I'm just gonna walk away. And Heather Langenkamp was there as a savior, and she was like, "Don't, it's okay. I had the same interaction. It's okay." I was like, "Okay, we're fine. We're walking away from it."
We talked about it on the show, and a few weeks later or so, I got we both got direct messages on Instagram from her, saying that her daughter had brought it to her attention from listening to our show that we had said that we did not have a good experience meeting her, and we were upset and disappointed. Wow. And she wanted to, rest assured us that, she's made it very known that she doesn't watch these movies, and it was no disrespect to us. She had a long day, and there was a lot of stuff going on, and blah, 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 and then she asked me about my kids, and but first when she wrote to us originally, she wrote my message to Scout's Instagram and Scout's message to my Instagram. She didn't know which one of us were who. Yeah. And then she heard about this, and she ended up asking about my kids and how old they were and what our address was, and she sent me like a dozen of her books. And it's interesting because I had opened up a few of them. I've read them to my kids, but she signed them all to Carter and Jagger. And I actually was Carter pulled one out last night, and we're reading it, and it she's drawings all over it, and the kids' names and hearts and all this crazy stuff. And I didn't realize that she had done that in all of the books that she had sent. She didn't just sign her name. She really wrote stuff to them. Yeah. And Carter I was like, look, this is, and he saw the picture of her on the book flap, and he was like, is that Jamie Lee Curtis? And I said, yes, that's her. And she's the one that wrote you those notes in here in this book. Yeah. And he's like, oh, that's cool. But I mean, that was very, she did not have to do that. So extending the olive branch was really, and then she sent me a picture of herself from set, kind of funny, random things. But so she changed my opinion, but it was, she was very gracious and kind in apologizing for the experience that I had with her. Yep. But I was on the other side of it for a moment. Have you met her?
I have not. We have some mutual friends from where I lived in LA. And it was weird because years and years ago, I met her stepmother at an antique shop that she owned on Melrose. And we ended up being very, very close and good friends for a time, but I never met Jamie, no. Just a weird connection.
Yeah, it was something that I think I'd always dreamed about, what that would be like, that she would sort of be a fan of what I was able to do as a kid, and I it's it was an interesting experience. Yeah. But she saved it, so good.
Yeah. No, I think that's gracious and lovely. Wow.
Oh, it's so wonderful having you.
What do you have coming up? What are you working on? Let's wrap it up, because I know you've got
in the acting world.
In whatever world you're in.
I still audition. I just saw somewhere on, I think it was my Wikipedia page, that I was retired, which I think
I saw that. It said retired actress. I'm getting a Lifetime Achievement Award.
That? What?
I'm getting a Lifetime Achievement Award at the New York City Horror Film Festival.
When is that?
That is, I believe it's the 7th of December. It's the first. It's that Saturday. Isn't that crazy?
So
oh
I'm
my
not
gosh!
Retired. I'm
Yeah, you're
still,
not retired.
I still have an agent in New York. The next thing I have coming up is I'm doing a play, an equity play next summer.
So
Yeah,
you're
cool.
still feeding your soul.
Yeah.
Are you
I
still
love it.
doing the bed and breakfast? Are you still living out? No, that's so long ago. That
Yeah.
was amazing. You're just living like a normal, beautiful life.
I'm just lucky. And Halloween was a huge part of all of that. I mean, really, I feel like all of us were. I feel like anyone that has a good of experience as we did I just feel really grateful.
I'm happy that we got a chance to talk to you and that the fans could actually hear us reminisce about our love for one another, our love for the movie, our love for our experience, that it's hopefully it will help people love it even more knowing that the process was also really wonderful.
And it's amazing to me how people still want to talk about it, still want to
Oh,
still ask
yes.
questions.
Oh, I'm gonna get you. So I've
Yeah,
got
I
2
can't
shows
wait for
in
you to
mind,
come to some
guys.
cons with us.
We're gonna get Ellie up and to sign some stuff with us and meet you guys and take pictures and then we get to hang out as well in
Thanks, you
person and
guys. Best
give
of
you a big
luck on your
hug.
shoot. I'm
Thank
going
you
to be
Thank
cheerleading from the
so
side.
you.
much. I love you so
Thank
much,
you.
Ellie.
Love you
Send my
too.
love to your family and I'll be seeing you soon.
All right.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everybody.
Ellie.
Bye,
Bye,
guys. Happy
everybody.
Tuesday.
Happy
Bye.
Tuesday. Bye.